12 ugly things elderly women do in old age that everyone notices but no one tells you. I remember sitting with Joan, sharp as a tack at 75, but that day she looked frustrated. She sighed, "I don't get it. I used to be so outgoing. Now it feels like people avoid me." I saw it too, small habits she didn't notice. And the truth is, we all have them. Sometimes it's not age holding us back. It's the things we do without realizing it. Today we're uncovering 12 common habits that might be quietly affecting how others see you. Stick around, because once you notice these, you can fix them and feel more confident than ever. Welcome to Better Aging Advice, the place where real stories meet practical tips to help you age confidently, stay sharp, and feel your best. If you're ready to embrace aging with grace, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a thing. Today, we're tackling something important. 12 common mistakes many elderly women make. These are the little habits everyone notices but rarely mentions. The good news, once you spot them, you can fix them. And trust me, you won't want to miss the last one. It might just surprise you the most. I'll never forget the afternoon Joan sat across from me, eyes downcast, tugging at the hem of her sweater. "I don't even bother with makeup or brushing my hair some days," she admitted with a shrug. "Who's going to notice?" I could hear the sadness in her voice. She wasn't just talking about her appearance, she was talking about how she felt inside. And here's the thing, she did notice. We all do. The way we present ourselves often reflects how we feel about ourselves. And for Joan, it showed in how she carried herself, shoulders slumped, voice quieter, avoiding eye contact. It's not about vanity, it's about self-confidence. Personal grooming is a form of self-care. It tells the world, and more importantly, it tells you that you matter. Small habits like brushing your hair, applying a little moisturizer, or wearing something that fits well can completely shift your mindset. Joan started with something simple, a swipe of lipstick, a quick comb through her hair, and within days I noticed the difference. She stood a little taller. She smiled more. She felt seen again. You don't need to overhaul your entire routine to feel good. Focus on small but consistent habits. Brushing your hair, caring for your skin, wearing clean, well-fitting clothes. It's amazing how just a few minutes of self-care can set the tone for your entire day. What's one grooming habit that makes you feel great? Maybe it's wearing your favorite color, styling your hair a certain way, or a skincare product you love. I'd love to hear it. Drop it in the comments. I remember watching Helen at the grocery store. She accidentally bumped her cart into someone else's, and before the other person could even react, Helen was already apologizing. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. So sorry," she said over and over again. She let out a nervous laugh, but I could see it, the way she glanced down, the way her shoulders curled inward. That wasn't just a polite apology, it was something deeper. She felt small, like she had to apologize for simply existing, and she's not alone. So many older women fall into this habit, saying sorry, not just for mistakes, but for taking up space, for speaking their mind, or for just being there. Here's the thing. When you apologize too much, it starts to chip away at how others see you and how you see yourself. You might think you're being polite, but over time, it can send the message that you're unsure of yourself. I once asked Helen, "What are you apologizing for?" She thought about it and laughed softly. "I don't even know." That was the moment it clicked for her. confidence is contagious. Instead of automatically saying sorry, try replacing it with thank you. It shifts the energy from shame to appreciation. For example, instead of saying, sorry I'm late, try saying, thank you for waiting. Instead of sorry for bothering you, say thank you for your time. It may seem small, but it makes a world of difference in how you come across, and more importantly, how you feel about yourself. Helen started practicing this, and within weeks she told me, it's funny, I feel stronger, like I deserve to be here. And she does. So do you. Caught yourself over apologizing lately? You're not alone, we've all been there. Let me know in the comments. Type yes if you've noticed it, or no if it's something you've mastered. Let's talk about it. Margaret was the kind of woman who could light up a room with her smile. But lately, that smile hadn't been as bright. She always wore the same floral dresses, straight from the 80s. One day, I asked her about it and she shrugged. They're comfortable. Who cares what I wear at my age? I get it. Comfort matters. But comfort doesn't have to mean giving up on style. And whether we admit it or not, the way we dress affects how we feel. Clothes can reflect how we see ourselves, or how much we've stopped seeing ourselves altogether. Here's the thing, fashion isn't about trends. It's about feeling good in your own skin. Margaret didn't need a whole new wardrobe, she just needed a few key pieces that fit well and felt modern. I remember the first time she tried on a sleek, well-fitting blouse with a classic pair of pants. She looked in the mirror, paused, and then that smile came back. She turned to me and said, I feel like myself again. It wasn't about looking younger, it was about feeling confident. You don't have to ditch all your favourite clothes, just update a few key items. Go for timeless, well-fitting pieces like tailored pants, a flattering blouse, or a versatile jacket. Choose colours that brighten your complexion and fabrics that feel good against your skin. Small changes can make a huge difference. When you feel good in what you're wearing, it shows in how you carry yourself. You walk taller, you smile more, and trust me, people notice. What's your go-to outfit that makes you feel fabulous? Maybe it's a cozy sweater that fits just right, or a favourite pair of shoes that always gets compliments. Share it in the comments. I'd love to know what makes you feel your best. I remember having lunch with Barbara, a warm, witty woman with a laugh that could fill the whole room, but that day felt different. She kept sighing between bites, shaking her head. I'm too old for this, she muttered. I miss the good old days. At first her friends chuckled politely, but as the conversation went on, I noticed their smiles fade. The energy at the table shifted. That's the thing about negativity. It's contagious, and when we talk about aging like it's a burden, it doesn't just bring others down, it holds us back too. Barbara wasn't a negative person. She was just stuck in a loop of focusing on what she'd lost. It's easy to fall into that trap. We start to believe that our best years are behind us. But here's the truth. Life is happening right now. The good old days were special because we noticed the good, and we can still do that today. Shifting your mindset doesn't mean ignoring the challenges of aging. It means choosing to focus on what's possible. Start by noticing the little things, the warmth of the sun on your face, a great conversation with a friend, or even the fact that you woke up this morning. When Barbara started practicing this, she'd catch herself mid-sentence. Instead of saying, I'm too old for this, she'd pause and say, I'm lucky I get to do this. She once told me, I thought changing my words was silly at first, but it changed how I feel. And it showed. She laughed more. She was lighter. That positivity became contagious too. What's one thing you're grateful for right now? Maybe it's your morning cup of coffee, a call from a loved one, or simply feeling good today. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what makes you smile. I'll never forget the day Joan looked at me and said, "I feel invisible." She was sharp, full of life, but something had changed. She'd been going through the motions, head down, shoulders slumped, never really standing tall. And it wasn't just her words that made her feel invisible. It was the body language that came with it. We all know that feeling, the one where you just want to blend in. But what Joan didn't realise was that her posture was telling a different story. It said, "I'm not confident," even though deep down she was. I could see it in her eyes. So, I asked her to stand up straight. "Stand tall," I said, shoulders back. "Imagine you're a queen walking into a room." She laughed at first, but I could see the shift. Slowly, Joan stood straighter. She smiled a little wider. And guess what? She started to feel more visible. Her presence was stronger. People noticed. She owned the room in a way she hadn't in years. It wasn't magic, it was just body language. Your posture speaks volumes. When you slouch, it's like you're closing off from the world. But when you practice standing tall, shoulders back, head up, you communicate confidence even on days you don't feel it. Joan's transformation didn't happen overnight, but with consistent practice she started standing taller every day. And you can too. Start with small exercises. Try pulling your shoulders back, engaging your core and looking up. It might feel strange at first, but soon it'll feel natural. And when you walk into a room standing tall, you'll start to feel like you own it too. Try sitting tall right now, shoulders back, spine straight. Feel the difference? It's amazing how something so simple can change your energy. Let me know in the comments if you feel a little more confident. Helen had the kindest heart. Always there for her family, always willing to lend a hand. But I noticed something one afternoon when she was helping her grandkids with their art project. "You're doing it wrong," she said, pointing at the paper. I could see the confusion on her grandkids' faces. They stopped, glanced at each other, then slowly went back to their work. Helen didn't mean any harm, of course, she just wanted to help. But the way she said it made them pull away. Her criticism, though well-intentioned, created distance where there should have been connection. This happens more than we realize. Sometimes when we've lived through so much, we feel the need to share our experience, to correct others. But it's important to remember that encouragement can be more powerful than correction. People want to feel supported, not criticized. Helen didn't realize that her words were shutting her grandkids down until we had a heart-to-heart about it. Instead of immediately pointing out what's wrong, try focusing on what's right. Replace criticism with encouragement. It's a simple shift, but one that changes everything. The next time Helen helped her grandkids, she said, "I love how you're trying so hard. Let's see what we can improve together." The change was instant. Her grandkids smiled, eager to show her their work. They didn't feel small anymore, they felt supported. So, next time you find yourself about to offer criticism, pause for a moment. Think about how you can replace it with something positive. A little encouragement goes a long way in fostering connection and building trust. What's one thing you love complimenting others on? Maybe it's their creativity, their kindness, or how they handle challenges. Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear what makes others shine. I'll never forget when Barbara first started limping. I noticed it when we were walking through the park and I asked her, "Barbara, are you okay? That looks painful." She waved me off with a smile. "Oh, it's nothing. I'll be fine." For weeks I saw her walking slower, favouring one leg, but every time I asked, she shrugged it off. "It's just a little ache," she'd say. But after months of ignoring it, the pain became unbearable. By the time she finally went to the doctor, it was much worse. And a simple problem had turned into something much harder to treat. This happens more often than we realize. As we age, it can be easy to brush off symptoms as just getting older. But that's the dangerous trap. Ignoring health issues doesn't make them disappear, it only lets them grow. Barbara's situation was a wake-up call for both of us. She realized that avoiding the issue only made it worse, and she promised herself never to ignore her body again. The key is to listen to your body and act early. If something doesn't feel right, whether it's a persistent pain, trouble sleeping, or even just feeling off, take it seriously. Regular checkups with your doctor are essential, and they're not just for emergencies. They help catch small issues before they become bigger problems. But it's also about the everyday habits that keep you moving and healthy. Even light, consistent movement can make a huge difference in preventing long-term health problems. Stretching, walking, or doing some gentle yoga daily can help keep your body in tune. Barbara started going for regular checkups and making sure she kept moving every day, even if it was just a short walk. It wasn't always easy, but the more she prioritized her health, the better she felt. And I can tell you, she hasn't ignored her body since. What's one small health habit you swear by? Whether it's a daily walk, drinking more water, or something else, share it in the comments. Let's inspire each other to take better care of ourselves. I remember sitting with Joan one afternoon and she sighed deeply. "I hate asking for help," she admitted, "but I need it all the time." I could see the frustration in her eyes, but as we talked more, I realized the real issue. Joan was asking for help with things she could still do herself. A simple trip to the grocery store, organizing her closet, or even cooking a small meal. She'd ask her daughter or a neighbor to step in. And while it was lovely that people were there for her, it was taking a toll on Joan's sense of independence. The more she relied on others, the more she started to feel helpless. The truth is, it's easy to fall into this trap. As we get older, there's a tendency to rely on those around us, but sometimes that comes at the cost of our own confidence. Joan wasn't weak, she was capable, but she had forgotten how strong she truly was. The more we depend on others, the more we risk losing that sense of autonomy, and before we know it, we feel like we're no longer in control. The key is balance. It's about doing what you can on your own and only asking for help when you truly need it. Simple tasks like organizing your space, cooking, or even taking care of yourself can build a sense of accomplishment. And when you tackle these small things, you'll start to feel more empowered and capable. Joan began to change her mindset. She started with small tasks, things she knew she could do, and with each success, her confidence grew. She no longer felt helpless when she asked for help, she felt empowered. She learned that independence isn't about doing everything alone, it's about knowing when to step up and when to ask for support. And with that balance, Joan felt stronger and more in control of her life. What's something you love doing independently? Maybe it's gardening, cooking, or tackling a home project. Share it in the comments. I'll never forget when Margaret sat down with me one afternoon and said, "Sometimes we just sit and gossip at bridge club. It feels fun until I leave." She smiled, but I could see the discomfort behind her words. Gossip, it has a way of sneaking in. At first it seems harmless. A little bit of gossip can feel like a way to bond, to share something juicy with friends, but over time it can start to erode relationships. Margaret noticed that after these gossip sessions, she didn't feel lighter, she felt heavier. The negativity lingered, and it started to affect how she viewed others, even her close friends. Gossip often feels like a quick fix to fill a silence or create connection. But in the long run, it leaves us feeling drained, angry, or even guilty. It's easy to fall into. especially in social situations where we're looking for something to talk about. But here's the truth: gossip doesn't uplift, it tears down. It spreads negativity, and while it may feel good in the moment, it's not worth the toll it takes on our hearts and minds. The solution isn't to avoid talking altogether, it's about being mindful of where the conversation is going. When you catch yourself about to gossip, shift the focus to something positive. Talk about shared experiences, upcoming plans, or even compliment someone. Redirecting conversations to uplifting topics can create a much stronger bond with others, and you'll leave the conversation feeling energized, not drained. Margaret made a simple change. The next time someone started gossiping, she asked, "Have you heard about that new art class in town?" It didn't just change the conversation, it changed the energy of the room. The group shifted to talking about fun, uplifting things, and Margaret felt so much better after. She learned that the best conversations are the ones that lift everyone up, not bring them down. How do you steer clear of gossip in your social circles? Maybe you redirect conversations or focus on the positive. Share your tips in the comments. I'd love to hear what works for you. I remember Helen telling me, "I'm too old for all this tech. It's just too complicated for me." I could see the frustration in her eyes. She felt disconnected from the world, especially from her grandkids who lived far away. She missed out on video calls, sending pictures, or even just checking in through text messages. It wasn't that Helen didn't care about staying connected. It was that she felt overwhelmed by the rapid pace of technology. But here's the thing. Resisting technology wasn't helping her stay connected, it was keeping her isolated. One day, after a long conversation, Helen finally agreed to try learning just one thing: video calling. We sat down together, and I walked her through the process. At first, she was hesitant, but once she saw her grandkids' faces on the screen, something shifted. "Wow," she said. "I feel like I'm really there with them." She was smiling, genuinely excited, and I could tell the connection made a world of difference. It wasn't just about the technology, it was about the joy of feeling close to the ones she loved. Here's the thing. Technology doesn't have to be intimidating. Start with one small piece of tech at a time. You don't need to master everything all at once. Focus on one tool that will improve your life, whether it's learning to send a text message, making a video call, or even using a weather app to stay informed. The more you learn, the more confident you'll feel, and before long, technology will start to feel like a helpful ally, not an obstacle. Helen's story is proof that it's never too late to embrace new tools. She might have resisted at first, but now she's video calling her grandkids regularly and even sending them pictures of her garden. It's a simple change, but it made a huge difference in her life. What's the last piece of tech you learned to use? Whether it's a new app or a simple gadget, share it in the comments. Let's inspire each other to embrace the tools that keep us connected. I'll never forget the day Joan told me, "I'm too old for dancing." She said it with a slight shrug, like it was just something she had accepted. But when her granddaughter's wedding came around, I knew something had to change. I convinced her to step onto the dance floor just for one song. At first she was hesitant, unsure if she could keep up. But once the music started, something magical happened. Joan's face lit up, and before I knew it, she was laughing, twirling, and moving with a joy I hadn't seen in years. She felt like a kid again. In that moment, Joan realized something important. She had let the thought, "I'm too old for that," hold her back for so long. The truth is, age is just a number. It's the mindset that matters. Saying "I'm too old" often limits us before we even give ourselves a chance to try. But when Joan replaced that thought with "why not?", she opened up a whole new world of possibilities. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm too old for that," try replacing it with, "Why not?" It's a simple shift in mindset that can unlock new experiences, help you try something fresh, and bring back the spark of adventure. Whether it's dancing at a wedding, trying a new hobby, or learning a new skill, age shouldn't be a barrier. It should be a reminder that life is about embracing every moment. Joan learned that day that her age wasn't a limit, it was a gift. She could still move, still laugh, and still have fun. And now, whenever someone says, "I'm too old," she's the first to say, "Why not?" What's something new you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Let's inspire each other to push past those limits, share it in the comments, and let's make it happen. I'll never forget when Helen said, "I don't want to bother anyone." Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. She had become isolated, thinking that staying to herself would spare others from feeling burdened by her. But the truth was, her loneliness was starting to take a toll on her health. She wasn't just missing the company of others, she was missing the joy, the laughter, and the connection that came with being around people. One day I suggested we grab a coffee together. At first she hesitated. "It's been a while since I've seen anyone," she said. But once we sat down, her face softened and the conversation flowed. By the end of the coffee, Helen was smiling like I hadn't seen in months. It wasn't the coffee itself, it was the connection. It was proof that reconnecting with others could make all the difference. Social connection is more important than ever, especially as we age. The act of reaching out, whether it's calling an old friend, joining a club, or volunteering, can have an incredible impact on both your mental and physical health. We're not meant to be alone. We thrive when we connect with others. Helen learned that day that her friendships were not a burden. They were a blessing. The simple act of reconnecting brought back a sense of belonging, and that sense of purpose gave her energy she hadn't realized she'd been missing. So don't let isolation creep in. Make that first move. Reconnect with an old friend or join a group. It's never too late to build meaningful connections. Who's one person you'll reach out to today? Whether it's a friend, family member, or neighbor, tag them below and let them know you're thinking of them. Let's spread some positivity and reconnect. Which of these 12 habits resonated with you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below because I read every single one. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button so we can reach more people who need to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe, there's so much more coming your way.